Coco Captain America Gauff saved the day for Team USA at the United Cup, pulling double duty to send them through to the semifinals.
Coco Gauff just went from serving up a disaster class to absolutely dismantling Maria Sakkari in less than 48 hours. One match she's losing 0-6 in a final set, the next she's not even giving Sakkari a sniff at breaking serve. Then she casually teams up with Christian Harrison to crush the Greeks in doubles and punch their ticket to the semis. How does someone flip the script that fast? What's the worst performance you've ever had that you had to bounce back from immediately? Drop it in the comments.
How nice was it to come out and feel the ball and feel like the level was back to what we expect from you, and it was almost perfect at times?
Yeah, no, definitely a much better match today. Last match I just tried to erase it. That's the beauty of this tournament and having a team that, you know, Taylor and Christian gave me the chance to stay in the tournament and be able to prove myself better today. So definitely happy to give my team the lead today.
Let's talk about rock bottom first, because you can't appreciate the comeback without understanding just how ugly things got for Gauff. Her match against Jessica Buses-Moniro wasn't just a loss, it was a straight-up catastrophe. The world number 42 took Gauff apart 1-6, 7-6, 0-6, and those numbers don't even tell half the story. False. Read that again. 14 times Gauff handed her opponent free points by failing to get her second serve in. She won only 19% of her second serve points. 19%. You could probably throw darts blindfolded and hit better than that. She dropped 9 of her 13 service games, which means Sakkari was basically playing against someone who couldn't hold serve to save her life. Gauff herself called it one of the worst matches of my career. And honestly, she's not being dramatic. This wasn't just an off day where a few balls didn't bounce your way. This was a complete systems failure. The kind of performance that makes you question everything about your game. The serve that's supposed to be a weapon became a liability. The mental toughness that carried her to Grand Slam titles vanished into thin air. But here's where it gets interesting. Because less than 2 days later, Gauff walked out against Maria Sakkari and looked like a completely different player. Not slightly better, not marginally improved. We're talking night and day transformation.
How much has it helped you to play those mixed doubles throughout the week? Because obviously you get back straight on court a couple of hours later and it feels like, okay, I'm just going to get back to focusing on getting the win for the rest of the team bench.
Yeah, it definitely helped, I think, especially with the serve. Didn't serve well at all the last match, and then the mix I served really well, and today was tough at moments, but I thought it was pretty good. I held serve most of the match, and yeah, and that side is so tough with the sun, so I was just trying my best to manage that. But overall, I'm really happy with how I played, and hopefully I can keep getting better with each match.
Against Sakkari, Gauff cruised 6-3, 6-2 in a match that never felt remotely competitive. She won 76% of her first serve points. Let that sink in after winning just 59% against Buses-Moniro. Her second serve points won jumped from a pathetic 19% to a respectable 50%. She faced exactly one break point the entire match. 1. After getting broken 9 times in her previous outing. Sakkari never stood a chance. The Greek veteran, who's been ranked as high as number 3 in the world, looked completely outclassed. Gauff was hitting bigger, moving better, and most importantly, serving like she actually belonged in the top 5. This wasn't just about fixing technical issues overnight. Something fundamental changed in Gauff's approach.
No problems for Team USA. It's Coco Gauff, all smiles here in Perth.
The love, 6-3,
a straight sets winner, 6-3, 6-2.
So what happened? Did she discover some magical coaching tip between matches? Did she completely overhaul her service motion in 36 hours? Did aliens come down and replace her with a better tennis player? Nope. According to Gauff herself, the answer is almost annoyingly simple: mentality. I think just mentality, she explained after dismantling Sakkari. I think just going for bigger targets, making her play knowing that I off the ground can hang in there or beat almost everyone. That's it. She just decided to be more positive and trust her ground strokes. Revolutionary stuff, right? But here's the thing. Sometimes the simplest answers are the hardest to execute. It's easy to say, just be positive, when you're winning. It's infinitely harder when you've just served up 14 double faults and gotten bageled in front of thousands of people. Gauff admitted she wasn't positive during the Bouzas-Monero match, which anyone with functioning eyeballs could see. The body language was defeated. The shoulders slumped. Every missed first serve seemed to compound the panic. It was a mental spiral that fed on itself, where one bad moment led to another, which led to another, until the whole thing collapsed. But against Sakkari, Gauff consciously chose a different path. She went for bigger targets on her serve instead of playing scared. She trusted that even if her serve wasn't perfect, her baseline game was strong enough to win points. And most crucially, she didn't let the inevitable mistakes, because yes, she still hit 6 double faults, snowball into full-blown panic. Today, it was the opposite, Gauff said. Yeah, I think just being positive and the mentality is everything when it comes to that. The most impressive part? Gauff didn't just stop at singles. After giving USA the 1-0 lead, she teamed up with Christian Harrison for the mixed doubles match against Sakkari and Stefanos Tsitsipas. You know, just a casual doubles match against 2 world-class players while carrying the weight of your team's hopes on your shoulders after looking terrible 2 days earlier. No pressure, and they won. Of course they did, because apparently Gauff decided this was her redemption tour and nothing was going to stop her. The match went down to the wire, 4-6, 6-4, 10-8, after Taylor Fritz dropped his singles match to Tsitsipas, which meant the doubles was do or die for USA. Gauff and Harrison had to deal with Tsitsipas, who can absolutely dominate net exchanges, and Sakkari, who just got embarrassed in singles and probably wanted revenge. But Gauff kept her composure. She kept that positive mentality she talked about. And when it came down to the match tiebreak, she delivered. 10 points to 8. USA advances to the semifinals. Gauff goes from potential liability to absolute hero in less than 48 hours. Let's be real though. This whole situation highlights something fascinating about modern tennis, and particularly about Gauff's game. Her serve has been a concern for years now. Not constantly, but it pops up at the worst possible times. She can look unbeatable one tournament, and then completely fall apart the next, and it's usually the serve that betrays her first. The technical issues have been documented exhaustively. The ball toss isn't always consistent. The timing can get rushed. When the pressure mounts, the motion gets quicker and tighter, which leads to more errors, which leads to more pressure, which leads to an even quicker motion. It's a vicious cycle. But what the Bouzas-Monero match showed, and what the Sakkari match confirmed, is that the technical stuff might be secondary to the mental approach. Gauff didn't magically fix her service motion between matches. She changed how she thought about serving. She gave herself permission to miss without spiraling. She focused on the process instead of the outcome. That's easier said than done, especially when you're 21 years old and the whole tennis world is watching and critiquing your every move. Gauff has dealt with more scrutiny than most players face in their entire careers, and she's been dealing with it since she was a teenager. The pressure to be perfect, to justify the hype, to silence the doubters. It's enormous. And sometimes that pressure manifests in ugly ways, like a 0-6 bagel set against the world number 42. But the ability to shake that off and come back stronger, that's what separates good players from great ones. That's what wins Grand Slams and big team competitions. Looking ahead, USA now faces either Poland or Australia in the semifinals, which means Gauff could potentially face Iga Świątek. You know, just the world number 2 who's beaten Gauff more times than Gauff probably wants to remember. Nothing like a potential showdown with your rival to test whether this newfound positive mentality is real or just a temporary blip. If it's Poland, the Świątek match becomes must-see television. These two have history, and Świątek has generally had Gauff's number over the years. But if Gauff shows up with the same confidence and serve she had against Sakkari, that's a completely different match than what we've seen in the past. If it's Australia, Gauff likely faces Maya Joint, which on paper should be a favorable matchup. But then again, on paper, Gauff should have beaten Bouzas-Monero without breaking a sweat. And we saw how that turned out. Nothing is guaranteed in tennis, especially when mental fragility can creep in at the worst moments. What's fascinating about this whole United Cup run is how much it reveals about team tennis versus individual competition. Gauff clearly felt the weight of letting her team down after the Bouzas-Moniro disaster. That could have crushed her. Instead, it seemed to motivate her against Sakkari. She wasn't just playing for herself. She was playing for USA, for her teammates, for redemption. There's something about team competitions that brings out different responses in players. Some crumble under the added pressure. Others thrive on it. Gauff seems to be in the latter category, at least when she's in the right headspace. The mixed doubles win with Harrison showed she can perform in high-pressure situations when she trusts herself. The next few days will tell us a lot about where Gauff's game actually stands, heading into the Australian Open. Is the Sakkari performance the real Gauff? Or was that just a motivated response to a horrible showing, and the baseline level is somewhere in between? Can she maintain this positive mentality through a tough semifinal and potentially a final? The serve will remain a storyline regardless. It's too central to her game and too inconsistent historically to just assume everything's fixed because of one good match. But if Gauff has genuinely figured out the mental side of serving under pressure, that changes everything about her ceiling as a player. Because let's not forget, Gauff's ground strokes are elite. She said it herself. She can hang in there or beat almost everyone off the ground. The movement is world-class. The return is devastating. The competitive fire is undeniable. When the serve is even mediocre, she's a threat to win any tournament. When the serve is actually good, she becomes nearly unstoppable. That's what makes the serving situation so frustrating and so crucial. It's the one piece that can either elevate her game to the absolute top level or drag her down to early round losses against players she should beat easily. It's the difference between being a consistent top 5 player and being someone who randomly loses to world number 42s. The Sakkari match showed what's possible when Gauff trusts herself and commits to a positive, aggressive mindset. The Bouzas-Moniro match showed what happens when doubt creeps in and the serve abandons her. The challenge is making the first one the default rather than the exception. So Gauff went from bagel victim to Greek destroyer in record time, which tells you everything about how wild tennis can be. One match you're questioning your entire existence, the next you're winning crucial doubles tiebreaks and looking unstoppable. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more tennis content. Who do you want Gauff to face in the semis? Świątek or Joint?